Hi, and welcome to another episode of the Innovation Conversation. Today we are joined by Gabija Adele. Gabi, welcome.
Hi, thank you for having me.
It's a pleasure. Gabi, would you like to introduce yourself to the audience, please?
Sure. So my name is Gabi. I'm from Lithuania. I lived in four different countries. It's my first startup that I'm currently running. I used to, live in the Netherlands and work in a lot of corporates like Ernst and Young, and then I decided that it's not for me. So that's why I founded my agency now, which is Capitalboost. I, of course, have to mention that I used to be a professional athlete for 14 years in fin swimming, and I'm still holding the record of Lithuania. So this is like, a rough introduction about me.
Okay, all right. So there's a lot to unpack here. I guess, you traveled a lot, you used to work for a big corporate, but you also have the athlete side to you, which obviously gives you a lot of discipline, I would assume, and great swimming abilities, right? So
Yes.
I guess what prompted you to change from the more corporate world to launching your own business? Because it's a bit of a risky step, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I always hated authority. I just couldn't work under a lot of so many people. And I was always more, of a driver, and I really want to make an impact and innovation in the world. And I thought that the best way to do it is, of course, to launch your own thing. Plus, I have a big goals, and I just didn't imagine myself being an employee long term. Also,
Mhm.
I was quite shitty employee, to be honest. So that's what spearheaded me to launch my third startup.
Okay, and was it hard? I mean, making that transition, how was it?
I didn't have a lot of family support. My friends, most of them at the time, they were mostly in corporates or employees. So it
Hmm.
was not like a really big support from that end. But my ambition to really go and do it, it overcame everything else. Plus, I've been following and reading a lot of different books about entrepreneurship, personal development, and I was like, when then not now. So it was difficult, but I'm so glad I did it. And every day, even today, it's like, of course, so many challenges. Some clients always, it's a big mess, but I love it, and that's what's driving me because it's a challenge, and I love challenges. So that's I'm super happy I did this change and transition.
So how does everything work? Because you moved from Lithuania to, I guess, somewhere in the Netherlands, and then
Yeah.
now in the Czech Republic. So how did this transition happen?
Right. So, Lithuania was too small for me. I already knew when I was in teenage years that I'm gonna move. It
Hmm.
was just, too compact. I wanted to explore. So I went to the Netherlands to initially study, but I started working since my first year of studies, and I never stopped since. So,
Hmm.
I was working. I was actually, my first job was selling cigarettes. Yeah.
Okay.
And then of course I was working for different multiple companies. So yeah, I moved to the Netherlands. I learned how Dutch people work, and I love it to
Hmm.
this day because they're so direct, and like they don't fuss around. They just like tell you what's wrong straight
Hmm.
into your face, which is something like sometimes quite hard to take it.
Yeah.
But now I feel like I'm equipped to do so. So I was living there for 6 years, and then I just got fed up of it. I was living there during Corona time. It was too much Netherlands for me, let's say in that way. And I moved to Rome for a bit because I wanted some Italian sun. I was thinking I could do some business there, but I understood that Rome is more for, it's a walking museum. It's not really a startup hub.
Hmm.
So that's why I was like, okay, Rome is not for me. I moved back to Lithuania where I worked at EY because I also have a little sister that I wanted to, get in touch with a little more.
Hmm.
And I was like, no, 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 no. Okay, no. EY is not for me. Like big corporates is not for me. And I moved to Czech Republic, and I'm here, I think, for 9 months already. And I love the culture. I love like how diverse it is and how beautiful it is as well. So for now, this is home.
Hmm.
Not sure where it's gonna go next, but for now, this is home.
Nice.
So
And
yeah.
was it hard launching a company in the Czech Republic?
It's actually quite easy to launch a company here. It's not that difficult in terms of regulations. And like I'm working alone most of the time. Of course, I have like some employees that are helping me, but it's still remote, so it's not that difficult to launch a company. Of course, in entrepreneurship world is sometimes a bit lonely. That's why I am like actually from now, like now I'm joining from WeWork,
Hmm.
from co-working spaces. So I love co-working spaces. I just try to be surrounded by entrepreneurs. So I was like, yeah, I'm now my headquarters are here.
It's a good place to be. I mean, we work. They do. They also give away cucumber water and beer on Fridays, or
Yeah, they do have beer here on Fridays, and
always good.
yeah, it's a really collaborative place. Also, super cool people. So that's awesome.
Interesting. And how do you get the idea for the business? Actually, do you want to tell a bit more about your business, please?
Sure. So, Capitalboost, we are an outsourced sales agency and we focus on tech and SaaS entrepreneurs, founders mainly, and we
Hmm.
help their business idea to move forward. In simple terms, we are a sales agency. We help, with outreach, with pipeline and management in that end, and we just help to get more clients for their businesses. So, what I've seen a lot in the market is that there are so many great products, great technology products, and founders receive investment. They employ so many tech people, programmers, engineers, and they get so stuck on the product that they forget that the most important thing is actually to sell it. So that's where I step in, and my company steps in, and we help to get into markets, to get more clients and boost their pipeline with innovative technologies such as we use a lot of AI as well. High end tech, and we leverage what's now in the market to really push their product through. So that's basically what Capitalboost is. The business model has shifted, and
Hmm.
of course, in the last 8 months that I'm running the company. Ideally, initially it was focused more on investors, and we moved now on B2B sales. So that's what Capital Boost is. That's my strength, since sales has always been my strength. It took me a while to figure out that it is. So yeah, so now we're going quite strong. We're 15K MRR, and I have quite big goals for the company. So let's see how that will roll out.
Most people actually run away from sales. All right, most founders that I know are always a bit shy, and they only focus on the technical side, and they completely ignore that if they're not able to sell themselves, what the company does, it's not going to work, right? So it's a big thing. Did you get any investment, or you self funding it?
It's from my own capital, and I invested 3,000 euros. And
Hmm.
look at the MRR at the moment. So it's,
Nice.
yeah, if you know how to sell, you don't really need an investment. So of course
Hmm.
there were months that okay, I'm not talking about all the businesses,
Yeah,
because
of
if
course.
it's really hard, like technology and everything, of course you need an investment. But for this business, I think you can just like do it with your own capital. You don't really need investor. So
Nice. And tell me about your plans. What's next? You thinking about
well,
growing and stuff? I mean, how does that look like?
100K MRR, that's the
Hmm.
next step. Hopefully in 1 year. Let's see how that will go. I really want to open my own office as well with employees here in Prague, and make it like a sales hub for tech companies. And I really have this vision that we can really do it, especially with the cutting edge technology there is today. I have my also personal goals. I want to become Forbes 30 under 30 entrepreneur. So I have still 5 years to go. So let's see
Hmm.
how that will go. So yeah.
That's quite ambitious. Did you get any support from like the local government when you launched the company, or just you did it all by yourself?
Everything by myself. Yeah, no support from neither family nor any friends.
Hmm.
Nothing. Just really going and hustling and talking with the people, talking with the right people, and really giving them the value. So
Nice. But you also have a sports background. I mean, do you think that played a role in the way you've done business?
100% yes. I think setting what swimming taught me was setting a goal and
Hmm.
really trying to get it and doing everything in your power to do so. Of course, discipline, like a lot of people like nowadays, they, go on social media and they scroll Instagram, younger generation, TikTok, even LinkedIn. When you open, everything seems so easily achievable, almost like
Hmm.
one day success. Well, it's not. It's like
Yeah.
the combination of discipline over the days, over the months that you do that actually brings you towards the outcome you have. The downside of what I have in my character is patience. I don't really have patience. So really. So for me, I also want to, like, go do fast, fast, but then, you reflect and like, okay, we need to do it like good and
Hmm.
not like rush through all the process. So definitely that swimming had played a major role in that area. And swimming is quite lonely sport, I would
Hmm.
say. Like when you go into
Well,
the
I love it. So my favorite thing to do is just swim.
yeah, yeah, and you just are alone in the water and with your thoughts. So I actually heard this saying just like half a year ago. So I never thought it's a lonely sport, but it is. So is
Hmm.
entrepreneurship sometimes. It's
Yeah.
like, you don't have the office that you can go into and mingle around with your employees and so on. It's yeah, it's tough.
And how do you deal with that? Because it's it's complicated. You do have, I guess, a down moment where you just feel like, why am I doing this, or things are not working out today. How do you deal with that?
Well, it's a lot of mental game for sure. I also have a best friend, ChatGPT.
Okay.
No, really, like sometimes I'm asking, like, like what to do in this or this case scenario. Like it's perfect. Like it's really good tool
Hmm.
to use. But then, when you have these down moments, you always go back to your initial goal, like why you are doing it. And also yoga helps me a lot. I'm going to the gym a lot. I'm going to yoga a lot to really like put yourself aside from all of these business things
Yeah.
and just like be with yourself for 1 hour or 2 hours and focus on something different. Other of my hobbies is painting. I love
Hmm.
painting. So then, you just like put yourself everything and you just have the canvas and you do your own thing, not thinking about the problems that
Hmm.
you have. Also, it's good to talk with your friends sometimes. Like, if this shit is going bad, what should I do? So it's also nice to have a good support system. But yeah, there are those moments for sure that it's quite difficult sometimes. So.
And how, when you have all these new clients and you're growing so fast, how do you manage it all? Because it can't be easy, right?
Yeah, it's not. But I love it at the end of the day. Like I found myself like when I was working in corporates, I didn't
Hmm.
want to wake up in the morning. Like it was just really, it was hard. And now when I have my own business, like I want to like get out there and help. Plus I have, all a lot of my processes are automated. Like
Hmm.
of course I have, meetings every day which are, face to face or online or in those lines, but most of the outreach because of the innovation is done through automated systems, which is
Don't
great.
tell the world about that. No, it's all done personally. What, you telling me all those emails I get are not actually sent by a real person? They automate? Oh, that's horrible. That's the worst thing in the world.
Well, not all of them, but most of them, yeah,
Yeah, they're
automated.
automated. Yeah, and it works. And I guess when your clients look at you, do you think they get scared because you're young, or quite on the contrary, they love your enthusiasm and they say, you know what, let's go for it.
I don't think they get scared at all because I think my results and my achievements show more than my age.
Hmm.
I don't think I'm that young anymore. There are literally 18, 17-year-olds making millions of dollars nowadays. So, age is just a matter. On the other hand, as I said, results speak louder than words. And I have made great contributions to companies who, their MRR skyrocketed. So for me, that's the main drive. And for my potential and current
Hmm.
clients as well, is I just know that I'm great at what I do. And they trust me on that. And I give them results. So that's the most important thing.
Nice. And one of the topics we often approach here in the UK is female entrepreneurship, right? It's always a big taboo, and it's I'm not going to say it's hard for me as a man to understand the challenges, but I know there are differences in challenges. Have you found it hard to launch a business as a woman, or quite on the contrary, you never saw that as an issue, or no one ever created any barrier for that?
Right. To launch a business, definitely there's no problem. Like,
Hmm.
you just launch.
Yeah, you launch a business, right?
What I've actually found, like from my experience, is that to negotiate a price as a
Hmm.
woman is more difficult. To negotiate a price on like monthly, let's say, or base or some commissions, it's a bit more difficult than you would negotiate man to man. My Most of my clients are men
Hmm.
because tech space.
Yeah.
It's a lot of males, a lot of testosterone. So it's sometimes quite difficult to negotiate, the price, and they're always, backing themselves and so on and so on.
Hmm.
But I wouldn't say that I experienced some less treatment or some less being a woman. Definitely not. Like, you have to have balls as a woman
Right.
sometimes, and just really say what you want, and have this like harsh, sometimes harder character. But of course, embracing femininity is
Hmm.
also you must have. So it's a balance. But I don't necessarily like to differentiate between female founders and men founders. We are like the same. We are the same capabilities. So that's what like in the back of my head is running. So
Interesting, because they've done a study why women still don't make as much money as men. And what they realized was that actually, when it comes down to negotiation, women always go with a low ball figure instead of going for a high one. And that means that when you do this across, multiple years and growing in your career, you actually end up with a lower figure than a guy, because the guy would walk in and say, yo, I'm worth 100K. Whereas a lady would say, I think I'm only worth 50. So whatever increase you will get throughout the career will actually be lower, even though they can obviously work a lot better. So yeah, it's interesting how you walk into the room and just manage to close all these deals. And an interesting question for me would be: we talked a lot about automation and stuff like that. How important is it to have automation and AI on your business, on day-to-day running of the business?
super important. Super, super, super important. If you don't want to be uh, like, if you want to be ahead of your competition, you must
Hmm.
have AI tools running. You must have your processes automated, because you're just behind of the game. Like, that's my saying 100%. Like, you cannot not incorporate AI and still
Hmm.
compete on the same level.
Interesting. And what type of clients do you normally go for?
So I normally go about SaaS clients,
Hmm.
software as a service, and chatbots, AI companies. So in that tech space, I operate mostly. And then the benefit is that most of the time you get some, like chatbot implemented in your website because you have a client, or some software, you get it for free because you are, serving. Yeah, I work with these types of clients. I'm thinking of also going beyond that and trying with insurance.
Hmm.
They also need clients. But anything that has to do with B2B service, I am there helping.
You're there. Okay. And these just focus on the Czech Republic, or you got clients elsewhere as well?
I have clients over Europe.
Hmm.
So in Czech Republic, Slovakia, Cyprus, Netherlands, negotiating a deal now in UK. This is more or less what I have right now,
Hmm.
but I operate in Europe mostly.
Hmm.
Later in US, let's see. First, I want to have everything settled in Europe because of the time zones. It's much more easier to work there for now. But of course, higher returns are in US because they have just more.
Bigger economy.
Exactly.
Now, I'm curious about one thing. As a sports person and as someone who's been in business, what do you do when times get really, really hard? Like, where do you get your inspiration from? Is it a book? Is it just friends and family? What do you do in those moments?
Good question. Definitely, like books, I'm reading a lot. Now I'm reading, what is the book name? The Diary of the CEO.
Ah,
Really
okay.
good book.
My
Um,
competition. He's almost slightly ahead of my podcast. Yes.
yeah, yeah, but it's a really good book. I
Hmm.
actually got some quite good ideas from it. I go to my family. Like if it's difficult, I'm like, look, this is shit, and they most of the time push me, which
Hmm.
is nice. I have a family that's their love language is challenging, so it's not like everything is gonna be fine. It's more like, no, what did you like reflection and things like that. I go to my best friends. I'm fortunate enough to have a couple that I really do trust, so I go to them and
Hmm.
they also inspire me and remind me of my goals and remind me that sometimes it's gonna be tough. And I also like to then go for a walk. I like to put music, the music that I like, and I
Hmm.
go on a walk with my AirPods and just, calm down.
I do that a lot, actually. It's a bit crazy, but I read somewhere that most of the problems are solved by taking a walk, actually, because you abstain from them and you can just focus on getting to the solution, I guess. And in all these things, what would you say to yourself a year back? If you could talk with yourself right now and say, take the chance, go ahead and start the business, what would you say to yourself?
I would say do it earlier
Okay, interesting. How come?
because I think I waited too long to do what I'm doing now.
Hmm.
Of course, without the lessons in the past, I wouldn't have maybe the mindset or the experience I have. But the earlier you start doing something you love, something you really think is right for you, you will never
Hmm.
be disappointed that you're doing it. So, and a lot of people are, having their dreams and they're waiting on it. But I don't like the word dreams actually. I always say goals. It's better to have goals than
Hmm.
dreams and write them down and just going and getting them. Like, for instance, if you want to implement some new habit or start something new and you're just waiting for that right moment, it's never going to come. The
Hmm.
best moment is now. So that's the mindset I'm having, and I wish I would have started earlier to do what I do. I would be interested where it would be now.
And would you tell someone that was in your position to actually get started and get going, or would you say just stay where you are because it's nice and safe?
No, I'm always like go and do bold decisions and really try getting out of your comfort zone,
Hmm.
because why not? And the worst case scenario, you can, like, I always tell myself the worst case scenario, I'm just gonna be a barista somewhere or like do some kind of job that I know how to do. I will start selling cigarettes again. Like, worst case scenario, I will just go back where I started. I don't know. Of course, maybe it's easy for me to say because I don't have like kids yet, for instance, or I don't have some huge responsibilities in terms of like loans or things like that. So
Hmm.
it's quite easier on that end. But if you do, then and you really have your passion and you wanted to do so, then I would suggest have a part-time job somewhere that you can pay the bills, and then half of the time do something you love or dedicate the weekends for it or find some time instead of watching TikTok or being like, I don't know why I'm bringing this TikTok up all the time, but it's
Hmm.
just like so much teenagers spend so much time on it. It's just insane. So things like that, and
So you mentioned something quite interesting, which is TikTok. Now, the balance in your life, the balance between actually, let me reframe that. As an entrepreneur, how is the balance between content consumption, where you spend a lot of time on Instagram and TikTok and LinkedIn, and content creation? What do you think the balance should be there?
I think you should be a creator 100% rather than consuming content, but it's easier said than done.
Mhm.
My What I do is I spend around 1 hour on social media every day. I don't know if it's a lot or not, but I
Mhm.
also need this time to rewind and just watch some stupid things to
Yeah.
not think anymore about everything. Also, that helps. But creating content, it's much better. It's again, then it's discipline. Then it's thinking about the content. Then it's production. Like a
Hmm.
couple of days ago, I was creating a video, like a promo video for my company. It took me 3 hours to edit a video. I was going crazy. I'm not an editor, you know.
Hmm.
So
I know the feeling. Yes, it's a nightmare. Editing is the worst thing in the world. It's super hard to do. Yeah.
yes, of course there are now another AI tools and so on to help, but still. But to go back to your question, it of course creating content is key, and I'm still also like thinking a little bit about my social media strategy and what should I post and so on and so on.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's tough.
No, it's something that I find in most people is sometimes they're a bit shy as individuals, right? Especially when you're launching a business, because we as a species are afraid of failure, because we know that if we fail and if society around us rejects us, then we won't, we'll get out of the pack. It's going to be cold. It's going to be miserable. When you're posting new content, when you're creating new strategies, how to deal with that? Like with that thought in your mind, do you think you're going to be all alone, or you actually say, you know what, let's just do it?
Let's just do it.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, and also not thinking about other people's opinions is again like it's easier said
Done, done.
than
Yeah.
done. But if you're just gonna overthink about what other people are thinking of you, and if you're saying the right thing, you will never really move. Maybe you will get some hate. That's normal, that's part of the game. But for instance, if I post some new content on LinkedIn, I mostly try to grow my LinkedIn platform, maybe Instagram at some point, but LinkedIn is the professional part.
Yeah, of course.
Is so, I post this post, and then, it's 10 minutes past and you get like 2 likes, and you're like, oh, shit, maybe it's bad. But then you just leave it, and you know also that the algorithm might pick up later.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so yeah, you just leave it. Uh, I have deleted a couple of my posts sometimes because I was too afraid what others would think.
Mm-hmm.
But it's trial and error, right? Like, yeah, some entrepreneurs are shy, but I really do believe if you want to succeed in this era, the founder should be in content.
Mm.
Like, it's quite important, unless you have a lot of investment in place and you're really doing some, I don't know, deep tech or some, this boring businesses, brick and mortar or something in those lines. But if you are in marketing, tech, sales, tech, I mean the SaaS, the founder should be like the face of the game. I think it helps sales as well.
Yeah, it does. I think in sales, we're kind of transitioning to a founder-led marketing solution instead of a marketing solution where people just get sent a boring PDF that no one ever reads, and like, yeah, I'm not going to spend any time with this. As if, but then if we have the founder and he's on LinkedIn and posts a 30-second clip of him talking about the product and why it's actually quite good, people are like, I like this guy. He sounds okay, guy or girl. Let me go and talk with them. So yeah, it makes
Yeah,
a big difference, doesn't it?
yeah, for sure, 100%.
Interesting. Now, a very important question, which is if people want to reach out to you, how can they do so?
So on LinkedIn, I'm going by Gabija Adele. You can search me, or by email, gabia@capitalboost.io.
So Gabia, just for everyone just listening in, is Gabija, right?
Yes.
Okay, very important with the J. Gabi, thank you so much for your time. I really appreciate it. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you so much, Ricardo, for having me. It was a great discussion.